Hi, I'm Adam and welcome back to First Man Photography, where today we are dealing with some very frosty conditions and seriously icy comments and turning them into creative fire. Before we get going today though, this video is sponsored by MPB. If you want to buy, sell or trade your gear, do it with MPB. Now over the last couple of weeks, I have had this Canon R5 on loan for all my shoots, and I honestly think it is the ultimate camera. Many cameras are now perfect for taking stills, but this is also capable of pretty much everything you'd ever need from shooting video too, especially this beautiful 4K slow-mo footage. But that's not the point of this video. Whilst I had this camera, I wanted to get out and put it to great use. And here in the UK, we also had some of the most incredible hoarfrost scenes I think we've ever experienced. I was deep into another project though, and my time has been really limited, but I did eventually manage to get out for just 48 hours before it all melted away. I then got back, put the first half of the trip out, and someone made a comment on the video saying, "Bang average images, just my opinion though." I'm not sure why someone really feels the need to share a comment like that, and I thanked him for his Christmas cheer. But the truth is, this is how I was feeling about those images too. And I also felt I'd wasted my time with this incredible camera. Now, I'm not an anxious person. I used to be a cop. I walk around fairly confidently, and I'm usually socially capable. But as a photographer, I do often suffer from this terrible artistic anxiety, and as a professional, get horrible feelings of imposter syndrome. It's that feeling that our photographs just don't match up, and it can easily result in a self-defeating attitude. They say comparison is the thief of joy, but sometimes it's just impossible to avoid. Part of the problem is that, understandably, a lot of photographers only put out their very best images, the portfolio-worthy images. But what this does is create a false impression of reality. My ethos with this channel is to tell it how it is, share everything, present the struggle, and show that behind every portfolio-level masterpiece is a flock of bang average images. Anyway, all my favourite photographers are people that put out work consistently and to a great standard. People like Andrew Marr, Verity Milligan, Joe Cornish. Mally Davis has been doing some incredible things recently, Mark Littlejohn, and many, many others. So has this Canon R5, the ultimate camera, been wasted in my hands? Well, let's see in the second half of the 48-hour trip. But by the end of it, I didn't think so. And it had nothing to do with the photographs, bang average or not. Here we are then, and overnight it has snowed in the place that I travelled to. I was essentially chasing the weather. The snow has landed on all these plants and trees, and I found this one here, which just happens to have a little bit of golden light in the sky over that way. I think it's going to be a really beautiful, soft, dare I say it, artistic image. That's just going to give that feeling of winter, but with the warmth in the background, blurred out into the bokeh, into that background blur. I think it's going to work really well. So I'm going to get the front one in focus, blur the others out into the background. That's it, just get it above the horizon a touch. Hold it steady. I think that looks really nice. It's wintry, it's warm, and yeah, a subtle little image to start the day. Maybe I should have kept going though, because it's really quite nice over there now. So I feel like I've been extremely fortunate because the conditions are just beautiful. The sun has now risen and the warm light is just hitting this landscape, and it's just absolutely fantastic. There's barely any wind. It's cold, but it's kind of, because of the lack of wind, it's comfortable. It's beautiful. It's one of those fantastic moments that just makes landscape photography just totally worth it. And that light is looking fantastic behind me. Look at that. Right, I'm set up for a shot because this location normally wouldn't work, I don't think. But because of the conditions, I think it's going to be fantastic, particularly the snow on this field. That's acting as my foreground, where normally it would just be a farmer's field. But because of the long shadows from these trees and some of the lines of the ground and the snow, it just looks fantastic. So that's formulating the foreground. There's some nice clouds in the sky, a bit of darker clouds over that side as well, which looks really nice. Then the warm light on these trees is fantastic. Got that iconic hill in the background. It's close to where I grew up, so it's a very special place for me. There is, however, a couple of things I don't like about this scene, or not about the scene, but about the frame I'm going to capture. Firstly is this fence. I have my camera, or the tripod, over the fence, but it goes around the field along the path there, so it is going to feature in the image, the bit behind me there. There is also then a farmhouse or a house or the top of a cottage or something just over the hill, and whilst it's covered in snow and it looks quite picturesque, I'm not a big fan of having man-made structures in my landscape photographs. I make the odd exception now and again, like right now. I am, however, a big fan of these conditions. It's just beautiful. Right, so I'm set up, composed. I'm kind of breaking the rule of thirds by putting the horizon almost along the middle of the frame. It's maybe a bit above the middle, but because of those trees and because of the hill, they're kind of pushing up towards the cross sections at the top of the rule of thirds. So I guess to some extent, some elements are fitting in with the rule of thirds and others are not. I'm at f11, I'm at 1/60th of a second, ISO 100. I've got the 2-second timer on. I'm just focusing on one of the trees in the distance. Let's have a little look at that. Oh, beautiful clouds, beautiful foreground. I love that snow. It's just, there's quite a lot of it. I guess it's acting a bit like negative space in the foreground, but there is some detail in there, and that just draws you up into those trees that are just almost golden, up into the hill. All round great scene. I'm chuffed to bits with that. Much more than I was expecting this morning. Look at that, just fantastic. So I am really happy with that.
We'll be back out in a minute, but as you know, this video is sponsored by MPB. Now, MPB is the world's largest platform to buy, sell, and trade used photography and video kits. I recently decided to sell some of the gear I don't use much anymore, one of which was this Canon 17 to 40mm wide-angle lens. I was sad to see it go, but selling it with MPB was extremely easy and removed all the faff I usually experience when selling gear. I just went on their website, hit the start selling button, typed in what I wanted to sell, and told them the condition I thought it was in. MPB immediately gave me a quote that I was happy with, and then they just provided me with a shipping label so I could send it to them fully insured for free. Alternatively, they'll come and collect it from you as well. I then just boxed it up, shipped it to them, and then a couple of days later, they received the lens, checked it over, and thankfully that it agreed with me that it was in excellent condition. Then all I had to do was give them my bank details, and a short time later, the money appeared in my account. I was absolutely blown away by the service, and I'm currently trying to make a number of cutbacks, pretty much like everybody else. So I will definitely be using them again, possibly even to switch out my Canon 5D Mark IV to get one of these, the Canon R5, which I just love. So hit the link down below to check out MPB if you want to buy, sell, or trade your photography gear.
I'm set up for another shot, but it may be that I've already had the best conditions of the day. But it's still looking absolutely beautiful. And the reason I came here today was that tree there. Now, what I visualized in my mind for this photograph was to have that tree with thick snow in the foreground and a really sort of plain, bright white background with the cloud. And then that little tree over there to the right giving some context. That was the image. It was going to be a nice, bright, winter, clean image with lots of negative space. I've got here, and the cloud has cleared most places astonishingly quickly. But there is still a little bit, when I've moved my perspective round, behind this tree. So I think I'm going to shoot it anyway. So it may end up being actually quite interesting because the ice on the grass just looks fantastic. There's lines kind of leading me in from the bottom right hand of the image. I think that sun still just looks fantastic. I'm just wanting to take a little look. I feel like there's going to be a backlit shot over that way, but I'm going to focus on this for now. So, at first I decided to zoom in really tight on the tree, but I've widened off a bit because the grass just looks so good and the clouds starting to come in from over the top. Yeah, that's nice. So, I'm just focusing on the tree. I'm at, I don't know, about 30 millimeters. I'm at f11, 1/60th of a second, 2-second timer, ISO 100, and away we go. So, let's take a look at that. It's very different to what I had in my mind, so if I hadn't visualised this and I'd just come across it, then I think I'd be really happy with that. I'm not done though. I'm not done with this area. I want those conditions that I'd planned, so I'm definitely going to be coming back, but I'm still really happy with that. I don't think the conditions are going to get any better than this. I'm pretty confident there's not going to be any snow with all this beautiful blue sky. However, as I was starting to walk back to the car, I came across that little tree in the middle of the field. Literally never noticed it before, but because of the snow and because of the frost and because of the sun, that combination of things, it's jumped to my attention. So I have put the long lens on, zoomed into 200 millimeters. I'm just hand holding, so I'm relying on the image stabilization. And because of the hill behind it has lots of shadow on it still, it's kind of popping out of the background. So I think it's just going to look fantastic with the snow sort of in the foreground of the field and the frost on the leaves. It looks absolutely brilliant. I've cropped it down to 16:9 to try and cut some of the sky out and the brighter land behind it, but I think there's a little robin on the just got a robin as well. Absolutely brilliant. What a fantastic finish. I'll show you those images now. Yes, I feel good. I feel good. That's what it's about, isn't it? Yes!